Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sarah. As evidenced by the title of this video, I am doing a series on semaglutide. I have seen this in the news a lot, and I was talking to Jeremy about it the other day. If you're new, he's my partner. The other day, and he was like, you should really film because the amount of stuff I've read lately that's just like really alarming. Yeah. Just like somebody needs to say something. So I will start by saying this is the first episode of what will be a series that I plan on filming. I would expect to film the entire year. I will also say I am 12 weeks in to my semaglutide journey, so I feel like I'll be on it for the rest of the year or be on most of the year. But yeah, so I figured I've been on it long enough that I have a lot of information. I've also had a lot of conversations about it, and I've talked to one of our cousins is a doctor, and I've been talking to her a lot because she's about to start offering it. And between the news headlines and what like my experience has been talking to medical professionals, the sway and administration and everything, I just thought it would be valuable to start this series with an episode dedicated to how to source a provider. So I'll talk about tips and tricks. I'll talk about how it works. I'll talk about all that stuff in other videos. This one is just dedicated to how to source your provider because I feel like a lot of people have decided they want to do it. And I think if you're going to do it, you need to go somewhere that's going to do right by you. This whole thing is, especially with like just the news that I've read, it's giving me, this is a kind of a specific analogy, but it's giving me like dentists doing Botox vibes where like this is a great income stream. It's been 20 minutes. I can make $1,000. Or, I don't even think it takes 20 minutes to Botox, but anyway, you get my point. It's a great money for time deal and they wind up botching it. And I find from the conversations that I've had with our cousin and with other medical professionals, other places that are offering it versus where I go to my med spa, and I have either a nurse practitioner or her medical tech inject me. There's a lot of sway in how you're getting it, what you're getting, etc. So let's start with how to source and what you're getting. So semaglutide is the active ingredient in what is a branded, it's a Novo Nordisk, I believe is the pharmaceutical company. They own Ozempic and they own Wegovy. It's the same product. It's just labeled differently, and they do this because they have to. Ozempic is labeled for diabetes. So you have to have a diabetes diagnosis to be on Ozempic. That's how it's supposed to be. Personally, I don't take Ozempic. I'm not on Ozempic. I'm not taking a diabetic drug. I know there's like a shortage. I'm not on Ozempic. The one specifically for weight loss, one that like Elon did and some other folks did that I've seen is Wegovy. Wegovy is the same thing. It is just for weight loss. So you don't need the diabetes diagnosis for that one. Now, I don't take either one of them. Those are prescriptions that you would get from your doctor and you would administer at home. My understanding and what I've kind of learned along the way is you actually don't have to have either one of those. So my cousin what she's getting is neither. She's getting semaglutide blended with B12. And this essentially is like, to make a very complicated, long, big ass story short, everybody's getting in on this. So where are you getting it from? And so she can write the prescription and her patients leave, see ya in 8 weeks. I don't like that personally, and I've been on it now for 12 weeks, and I'll tell you, I don't administer my own medicine. So I go to a med spa that I step on a scale, it's called an in-body scan. I step on it every single week, and it analyzes my body fat percentage, my skeletal muscle mass, my BMI, and my, it's like how much water your body has in it. Like there's a term for it, but it's slipping my mind. Your water weight, essentially. So, and that's really important because of how semaglutide works in your body. It's important to track what you're losing and like also to get ahead of side effects. And if you notice like, oh, you're, maybe what could be coming down the road, right? So again, I'll get into all of that later, but if you are interested in doing it or getting on it, obviously live your life, do what you're happy with and what makes you, whatever makes you most comfortable. But I've definitely heard a lot of people just get a prescription and they go home and they inject themselves once a week, and they don't have a lot of or any medical oversight in that interim. And that does not inspire a lot of confidence with me. I'm a whatever, like that's just how I am. So I go and I have it injected. It doesn't hurt. I have it injected in my stomach, and they do. My understanding is you could do your arm, your stomach, or your butt, and then you circle back in a week. And when you have it prescribed to you, you go home. You don't see them the next week. You also don't necessarily have a lot of insight into how you're losing, what you're losing, how you're feeling, and why you're feeling that way. So I think it's really critical, if you wanted to do this correctly, I guess is a pretty important, asterisk to add to this. If you wanted to do this correctly, I would imagine it would be important to you to know what's going on inside of you and like what you're losing, and make sure you're losing what you want to be losing and you're not having, bad side effects or whatever. And I love that Where I Go does that scan. I think it's really, really helpful. But I know a lot of places, they don't, it's just, however much it costs for you for 8 weeks, and I'll see in 8 weeks. So I would say it does exist because I do it. And I would tell you, if you can find that, I would probably really recommend that, just because I feel like, again, you have a lot more insight, a lot more clarity, a lot more, it's a much more high touch way of doing it, to where you have, like, if you have questions, if you're not feeling well of something, I can get a hold of my nurse anytime I want. And if I got nauseous, I have not had any nausea yet, but if she said, they say to me every single week, if you get nauseous, give us a call, we'll write your prescription and we'll get it filled same day. So I don't go any period of time without getting a hold of them if I need them. The other thing is, I think too, if you're trying to source a place well, I don't think asking a lot of questions or expecting them to offer these things is an inconvenience on their part. This is essentially a medicine that's changing how your body handles food for the entire time you're on it. So absolutely, you should have some insight. You should have a little bit of hand holding if you need it, whatever, right? Everybody handles things differently. So and then the other thing worth mentioning, I'll bring this up again later, but another thing worth mentioning in this specific video, you have to qualify for it. So you are supposed to qualify. There's supposed to be things like a certain BMI. I think it's 27. Don't quote me, but I feel like I'm right. You have to have your labs done. You got to know if there's anything else. They got to know what else is going on with you, and if you're a good candidate for it. It does not change habits. So if you are like a junk food eater, you're not going to stop eating junk food on it. It doesn't change what you consume. So I think it's also really important that if you have a psychological reason, if you're like a binge eater or I don't know, whatever, this is not going to solve that. So that was something else I read where somebody was like, I binge, and it was like, I gained twice the weight back. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the point of this. This wasn't what this was for. You know what I mean? So I just feel like this is stuff where we don't have, in my, granted, limited time researching this, firsthand experience with it, I don't see a lot of people talking through kind of, how you're supposed to be in order to get on it, like what qualifies you. So worth mentioning. So I guess the key takeaway to this is, don't be in such a rush to get on it that you're throwing away what could be a much better experience on it, and make sure that you're going somewhere that you trust. Whether you wind up injecting yourself or you're going into a clinic, I think having a more high touch experience is worthwhile on this. I also think it's critical that you have a relationship with your provider where you can get in touch with them whenever you need. You're not just like flailing in the wind for 8 weeks, then you circle back and you're like, oh, I was just really like, you know, nauseous and miserable and backed up or whatever, and they didn't know. You still have to maintain a quality of life. It's also, my understanding is a lot of these side effects can be mitigated. So keeping a high level of communication or keeping that information flowing with them would dictate the quality of your experience. You know what I mean? And that's definitely worth doing. You got to live your life still. So I'll talk through like my experience so far and my side effects, and I'll continue along this journey and I'll vlog some of it and everything. But like, just to kind of get the party started on this one, I wanted to talk to you about, you know, advice I would give you on sourcing a provider. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. And I'm gonna film a few of these pretty quickly back to back, so that way at least I can get them up for you in case you are interested, and that way you have some information to work with, or maybe some questions you didn't know you could ask. So keep an eye out if you're interested in this topic. Keep an eye out. I'll have more coming very soon. Thanks so much for watching, y'all, and I'll see y'all very soon. Bye.